Alright, so it's been over a month in quarantine. I'm all caught up with videos. Events and content's kind of slowing down, so it's the perfect opportunity to talk about the few of you that actually care about what actually happened to the quad since the last time we took it out and basically took it underwater. So we're going to kind of get into that, hopefully fix it today, talk about what actually happened, and I don't know, we can't take it anywhere because everywhere is kind of closed, but at least take it around the block to make sure that it's not completely. But first things first, we're going to get the Genesis out of the garage and get the ATV front and center. If you're new here, or since it's been such a long time that I've done ATV content, my quad is a 2002 Kawasaki Prairie 650. It's been through a hell of a journey. I'm not going to cover it just because it's been well documented ad nauseum on my channel. I'll have the playlist down in the description. But a little context of why I called this a submarine quad, aside from a couple of you teasing me from the last outing, here's a little refresher of what actually happened the last time I took this out. So as you saw, we got kind of carried away. It had been a long time since I had this thing out on the trails, and the day that we actually went to the park, it had rained extremely heavily the few days before, and the park was completely drenched, puddles everywhere, and I proceeded to beeline it for every puddle that I saw. Some were a little too deep for this thing, and the day kind of got ended short. Something got wet electrically.
Well, that's what happened. Something's wet. Just gotta get it right there. Can you tow me up the thing with this?
I can tow side by side.
Okay.
Cluster was freaking out. I couldn't start it, so I had to pull start it, as you saw, and the quad refused to stay on, so I had to push it back up the hill and obviously get towed like you saw. So when we brought it back here, it was doing the same thing. I waited a few days for everything to dry out, still same story. I dug into the fuses first, and lo and behold, the main fuse, the 30 amp fuse, had popped. And I'll show you where that is. So it's under the seat. So I have recently put a little tape on here just to kind of keep the water out. So the fuse that lives in this red carrier here, the main fuse, had popped. So obviously the fuse did what a fuse does. Something wet, overcurrent, popped the fuse and kind of saved the quad essentially. So I replaced the fuse and I started it up just to see if that was it. Lo and behold, the quad did start up, the cluster was acting normally, but I didn't leave it on, I turned it off just in case there's water in the oil or what have you. I didn't want to do any further damage. So with that being said, since then, I have changed the oil. Luckily there was no water in it. It was actually kind of clean because we didn't run it very long when we were out. I changed the rear brake fluid, which is a sealed clutch system style. There was a bunch of water in there, which is kind of normal if you submerge the rear. So we flushed everything out, replaced the rear brake fluid. That's all good. I also replaced the diff fluid, which looked okay. There was a little water in there, but that's good to go. So the last kind of thing that I want to do before I actually start this thing up and kind of run it, have it idle for longer than 30 seconds, is clean the air filter. So that's what I'm going to do with you guys. I'm going to show you how to clean and re-oil a K&N air filter.
Recharger kit, part number 99-5050, consists of filter cleaner and filter oil. First step, liberally spray cleaner on both sides of the filter. Let cleaner work for 10 minutes. Do not let the cleaner dry. Next step, use a low pressure water source, such as a garden hose with no attachments, to thoroughly clean the filter. Let the filter dry naturally and completely before proceeding to the next step. When the filter is completely dry, use the filter oil from the kit to apply to each pleat of the filter on the dirty side. Let sit to saturate through and touch up and dry spots afterwards.
So I didn't really wash it thoroughly. I just kind of rinsed it off just to kind of give you guys some beauty shots of how the paint's been holding up. This is where the sticker was. But I mean, it's been through a lot, and most of the paint is good, really solid. Just where the sticker was, the sun baked onto it, and then for some reason this spot, I think I hit a tree, a branch or something, and then where the stresses of the plastic are, it's cracking. But other than that, it's been pretty good. Still needs a legit wash, but it seems like wherever the plastics are stressed and flexing, the paint's not adhering very well, or I didn't do a good job prepping. But overall, the quad is pretty much okay. I took it around the block. It didn't break up over full acceleration. It still pulls hard, sounds good. It's not knocking. And it was all because of a fuse. So knowing that, I'm gonna try to keep the puddles to a minimum, but knowing me, probably not. I'll probably just add a spare fuse in the glove box in the back. And then, yeah, so pretty much there's your update for the quad. It's still good. I can't wait till all this madness is over and the park's open so we can get this out and do some crazy stuff, some crazy content with this thing, because there is a lot of you that are ATV enthusiasts. Oh, also, since the last time you saw it, I mounted up the light bar with some really ghetto hose clamps, but what I did was I wired it so that the low beams are on, the low beam switch, and then the high beam switch turns on both the LED bar and the low beams. So pretty stoked on how that came out. Other than that, she's good to go. 30-cent fuse, there's your update. Stoked on it. If there's anything else you want to see on this thing, leave it down in the comments, and we'll see you guys in the next one.